Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Leash Mind podcast, Mental Health and Dog Training. I am your host, Mandy Bowtell. On today's episode, I have a lovely conversation with Claire Anderson from Mutt Sense Dog Training. Claire and I, we talk about all things, mindfulness and enjoying what we're doing and how to approach certain situations with clients and being mindful in how we interact with our clients, how we interact with ourselves, and how we approach our business. Since this is a longer episode, I am just gonna zip it and get into the episode with you. I have Claire Anderson here with Mutt Sense Dog Training. Claire, thank you so much for coming on. I am so excited to dive into this with you. We talked a little bit before, and now I'm even more jazzed to go into this with you.
Yay, thanks for having me.
So I want to know a little bit, just, so our listeners can get to know you a little bit more. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got started.
Yeah. To be honest, I can say this totally honestly. I don't think there was ever any other option.
I
I
feel
flirted
that.
with the ideas of other options, but I was always going to work with dogs. I was sort of running away from it for a while. I was a yoga teacher for a while. I also worked in film for a while, but the
Oh,
dogs,
wow.
they just kept pulling me back in. I finally said okay. So anyway, yeah, professionally, I would say my professional career started about 10 years ago. I
Okay.
moved to Los Angeles from the Midwest. And I had a lot of dog experience, but not specific training experience. So I had worked in and managed a large volume dog daycare. Prior to that, I also, which was yeah, it was fast
That's a
growing
lot.
too. There's a lot of stories there. Um, I also worked in a vet clinic. I worked with rescues and shelters. So I had a ton of dog experience, but no specific training experience yet. So I
Okay.
was really lucky. You really, if you're open to opportunities, they come. And I moved to LA thinking, well, I'm going to work in film probably, but you got to pay the bills in the meantime. And I was like, what is the experience? Well, my experience is with dogs. So I was looking for dog jobs and Tully's training, which is kind of a big deal now. And they were just starting out. They had a job posting. So I reached out. I had, in my opinion, the worst interview ever.
Ah,
Like a hands-on interview where it was like, okay, show us how to train this dog. And I didn't know what I was doing at all.
oh, that's
But
nerve-wracking.
I know. So at a certain point in the interview, I just was like, I don't know what I'm doing, you guys. And I was messed with them. And apparently they liked that. So Mary took me on and she mentored me, which was lovely. And, I was learning and it was so exciting and humbling and scary and all the things. But I loved it. It was right for me. I'm a people person. I'm a dog person. It was good. So really almost right away, I was like, not right away, but within like 6 months, I was full time working and, living and breathing dog training. I had a full client load and that maintained for 5 years
Oh, wow.
in LA. And then for a lot of reasons, I needed to leave LA. So I went to Seattle and continued to work with Tully's training as an independent contractor. But it's really lovely to be a part of that company. And, you
Right.
get a lot of support and everything. So I still work with them today, actually. I'm in sort of a different capacity. But so then I was in Seattle working and training. And recently I just moved to the Northwoods and I'm working with the shelter here and taking on clients here.
Wow, that is quite a journey just to
Yeah.
come back full circle. I love when that happens, but woo, getting involved in the daycare scene and the rescue scene and just all of that is just when you were saying that, I'm like, oh, that's emotionally taxing. That's emotionally taxing. Like those are just so many layers and, we can get into it later, but volunteering and shelter work is a whole other, that is one beast I will never touch because I know how much it takes from you emotionally, mentally, physically. So the fact that you still wanted to work with dogs after that really shows how much you love it and how much you really want to help others and their dogs with that because that is a journey and that is very stressful.
Yeah. Well, on that piece, actually, I mean, age comes into play there. I was in my
Right.
early 20s. I was
Okay.
not, I didn't, I think at this point, I'm very careful with how much of that type of work I do because I know how hard it is on me now. I didn't know anything.
Oh, in your 20s?
So,
No. You're just like, I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna take it all in, give it to me, and then
yeah.
you're like, why am I overwhelmed at 30 and
Yeah.
I have all this emotional baggage?
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyone that's 20, don't do that.
Careful.
Be careful. So I'm curious, before we get into it more, your journey just experiencing this with training and shelters and everything, your background with yoga, did that ever come into play in helping you? I mean, you were young, so who knows that we really cared about our mental health back then. But did you notice that you used any of those techniques when you were feeling overwhelmed, stressed at all?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Moving my body is for me a huge stress relief, and I can get really tense
Like, yeah,
and
like just
literally forget to move, especially if I'm hyper focusing on something, and that's the neurodivergency coming into play. But I will forget to move for hours,
yeah.
and I need to whatever it is, and so yoga as movement, I knew helped me. But there's another piece, right? Because dog training and behavior work is so much more about the people. Because
Mhm.
if we are to hope that this dog lives a better life, we need to know that the people are really engaged and care about what I'm saying. So learning to speak to people as a yoga instructor actually really helped
Oh,
in my
interesting.
career too.
Why is that? Just, like, from coming from, like, the background of being more understanding and empathetic, or
Yeah. Oh, and literally just talking to a crowd of people in a calm voice and keeping
Oh.
the environment calm and peaceful and positive.
Oh my god, I love that. Your clients must love you. You must be so, like, soothing and reassuring to them. That is,
I
like,
hope so.
yes. Well, because, like, sometimes people who are instructing and teaching, they just go, run of the mill, read through their book, go through their steps, and they don't really think of how it's getting delivered. And sometimes
Right.
tone really affects people. I know I am very sensitive when people change tone. So I could
Yeah.
see that really having an effect with training for sure.
Right. Right.
So I really want to lean into just moving our bodies more and talking about that because before you and I hit record, we were just commiserating over healing from both of our surgeries. You had back surgery, I had foot surgery, and how my mental health has, I mean, quite honestly, it's tanked in the last, I'm coming up on 4 weeks post-op now. And probably in the last 2 weeks, I've noticed I'm more depressed. I'm not as motivated, feeling very down on myself, can't get productive. And I've been telling my husband, like, I don't know why this is going on. Like, I'm on better medication, I'm doing this, the sunshine is out more, but I'm not able to move my body. And it's so infuriating as someone who is neurodivergent and seeks body movement to regulate myself and regulate my emotions and my mental state. Not being able to do that has really affected me. So I want to talk more about how you've noticed those are connected. With work stress and with navigating life with a reactive dog, and where you notice that movement has helped process things better and not hold on to that negative energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Long question.
Yeah. Well, as we were talking about kind of before we started recording, we develop coping skills. And I think for so many of them, their movement, right? I mean, what is the number one advice you hear
Shake
is
it
go
off.
take a walk, shake it off, go
Yeah,
take a walk, right? When you can't do those things, and you don't know any other way, it is so
right.
hard. So yeah, prior to my injury, which, really my injury was developing 3 years ago up until till now. But prior to that, I was very flexible and open and movie. And, I loved, like I said, I love yoga, taking my dogs on hikes, adventures all the time. I'm a very physical person.
Same.
And that helped. I mean, until now, actually, I didn't know how much that was helping me
Right. You don't
without
know
it.
until it's, like, in front of your face and you can't do it.
Yeah, so sitting in a room, even with surgery, surgery recovery, a certain amount of movement is encouraged, but it has to
Right.
be the right kind of movement.
Not what you're used to.
Right, right. So you really have to relearn that when you can't. And so I think it's an important topic to discuss because who doesn't have some sort of physical injury in their life that limits how they can move and how they can cope with stress? Like everybody's going to encounter that.
Right.
So yeah, I think maybe, and this is only just now occurring to me, but maybe as far as having a toolkit of coping skills, it's worth learning 5 or 6 different movement methods that work for you that could come into play if you couldn't do one.
Right, exactly, and I there's that reel I made on Instagram about, somatic movement and And I've loved learning about that because there are ways to move the stress throughout our body and get it out and not harbor that feeling. Because I know a lot of us, dog professionals in general, we are very anxious people because we are so empathetic and we just want to help. But sometimes that can turn into anxiety and not feeling like we know enough, not feeling like we're going to help enough, whatever it is. And then we fester, and then, our shoulders might start creeping up into our ears. We might start curving in on ourselves. And then it's like, okay, how is this going to help me? I need to open everything up, shake it off, open my body. And
Yeah.
I feel like we forget about that physical aspect a lot of the times when we're dealing with so much stress. And dog trainers don't really acknowledge how much stress they actually encounter, and not even the mental, but the physical stress.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And until your body tells you,
Right.
no
Until we're
more,
burnt
you're
out.
done.
Right. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes it gets to the point of like with you or me of needing surgery, and our bodies are physically like, no, you're done. It's going to get worse. You have to stop now. And it's just like, well, shit, I had so much momentum though.
Right. And what now?
Right. And how am I gonna feel good during this? Like,
Yeah.
you want me to lay down for 4 weeks? Screw off. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh, actually, this is funny because I'm pretty sure it was you that posted, and I think I know what you're talking about, where you do the heel drops.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I can't
I
do that now.
actually, I know, I watched that and I hadn't had surgery yet. And I still can't do it, obviously, because I'm recovering from surgery
Mm.
now. But prior to surgery, the back injury was so painful. And I was
Oh
like,
god.
I want to do that one, but I can't do that one.
So you do a lot of reactivity training. You have a reactive dog yourself. I wanna talk
Well,
more.
so
Oh,
so so let me
you
stop you real
did?
quick. Yes, he
Okay.
is no longer with us. He passed away, I guess, almost 2 years ago now.
Oh,
However, if we're going to talk about trauma there, I have a Rottweiler who's lovely. She's amazing. I would not call her reactive. I
okay.
would call her sensitive and tentative.
That's
I
like my
also
fern.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, I have a husky who is a year and a half, and he is a rescue, and he is a wild man, and he's also very vocal. So he is borderline reactive right now.
Okay, I could see that at
And
that
yeah,
age too.
yeah. I'm like, that's why this is very present in my mind. I'm like, am I contributing to this? Am I creating this? It's like whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so I did have a reactive dog,
Okay.
and I currently have a maybe reactive dog.
You have an adolescent husky,
Yeah.
that's enough in its own. I know that feeling because Fern turns 3 this year. She is a Australian cattle dog, husky, chihuahua. So just imagine that combo, and then adolescence. It was fun. On top of getting a kitten in that mix. I'm like, I just, I wanted to throw myself for a loop and really test my
Yeah,
skills there.
that's right. I know. I know what I'm doing. And somehow I wound up with two large breed adolescents at the same time. Like, what was I thinking?
And I feel like that just goes without saying that people think that trainers and like we have our backgrounds that we have and we can handle it all. We think we can, and we want to take it on. And then we're just like, why do we do this to ourselves? But so back to body movement and managing reactivity, I want to talk about the stress, not just the emotional, but the physical stress that we encounter when maybe we have our own reactive dog or we're working with reactive dogs. Because I think a lot of us don't even really consider the physical stress that we take on when we're in the moment and setting clients up in that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right, you're not aware of it because
Mm-mm.
what you're doing as either a reactive dog guardian, who really if you're holding the leash,
The handler, yeah.
yeah, the handler. I mean, you are hyper vigilant because you have to be. You do. You have to be. You have to be constantly scanning. And so you're hyper vigilant. I mean, that's what that is, right? And so your body is tense. Your head is on a swivel. It is happening.
The cortisol is there, it's in your system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is happening. So, it's so unproductive, right? You hear it all the time. And so many clients come to me and they're like, I know it's my fault. I know my anxiety is going through to him. And I'm like, oh gosh, it is not your fault. This is stressful. This whole thing is stressful. You're not causing this stress.
You're trying to prepare, but your body is having its own initial response.
Yeah. And also everybody's coping. And it's coming from a really good place, right? It's coming from a place of I need to keep you safe. I need to keep us safe. Yeah. So that toolkit, right? That ability to pause, to breathe, to ground, to, take a break. I was talking to a client yesterday who has two dogs, and she's adding a puppy who is both blind and deaf.
Oh,
And we were talking
man.
about just kind of prep work. And that's something I was telling her because she's worried about the intro. She's worried about,
Of course.
and of course, and so we were talking through that, and I said, "What's the worst that can happen?" And we talked through the things. And then I was like, "Remember, at any point, you can take a break." So, like, if one dog's getting a little tense and you're like, "Oh God, don't push it.
Mm-mm.
Put a wall between you. Go breathe. A dog can go in the crate with something to chew on for a while. You gotta just chill. You don't have to keep
Right.
pushing it. That's okay."
I think a lot of times as handlers and guardians and trainers, we think that we need to push through it. I mean, hello, we grew up in the 80s and 90s. It was just push through the stress and the
Yeah.
trauma. And we don't allow ourselves that space to remove ourselves from the situation, come down from it, and then maybe approach it again when it's like and I say this all the time in the podcast, but it's like we give our dogs much more grace than we give ourselves.
Yeah. Oh
'Cause
gosh.
we allow
So
them to take a break and go
yeah.
into another room and calm down. We know they need
Yeah.
to calm down, but we don't give ourselves that same space.
Yeah. Man, it's about meeting the needs on both sides. And I think that is going to be a forever struggle. For anyone who cares about their dog, of course it's going to be a forever struggle, but I think at least being aware of it, okay, so these are the decompression tools that work for me, and these are the ones that work for my dog. And with more practice, you kind of can develop this check-in where it's like, "Okay, how you doing? Do you need a little decompression?
Right.
Are we good? I think we're good." And so regularly doing that, I think is really helpful. I'm gonna say I'm not there yet.
No
At
one's
this,
perfect. It's a
I
journey.
think I probably was at one point actually. Currently post burnout, I'm not. I'm still relearning that. So it's
Well,
tough.
yeah, and I think that it would be false to say that we don't get burnt out because it happens to everyone, and there's this stuff going around of like, you need to avoid burnout, you need to not have that happen, set yourself up better. That's not realistic. We're human. We encounter stressful situations all the time, especially dog trainers. If we're working with reactive setbacks, aggression, puppies are a lot. Whatever it is, it's a lot. And I feel like we don't really acknowledge we're going through a lot of stuff and we're not giving ourselves that time to process it. And so we get burnt out. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's just, and I speak from my own experience of I get burnt out, but then I still try to be productive in the burnout and I
Yeah.
don't really rest. It's just that need to always be doing things and getting ahead. And it's just like we're setting ourselves back a few steps though, because we're not taking care of ourselves. But it's so hard,
It's so hard. I think it's
especially as
gonna
a business owner.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lifelong struggle, actually, business or
Yeah.
not. I was thinking about, how do I prevent burnout? How do I manage it? How do I work through it? My answer to that, my honest answer, is creating something. So
Mm.
it does work for me, but it isn't rest. And to your point, I still don't think I know quite how to rest. Hopefully, the surgery recovery is going to teach me. But if I'm feeling burned out or if I'm feeling overwhelmed in my career, I'm a builder. So going out to work on a project, it's always just
Yeah.
a
That
good project is
creative,
really helpful.
it gets you out of your brain.
But it's still doing something.
Yeah.
It is
It's
not actually resting, and I'm not quite sure I know how to do that. I think it is good though. I think being creative, something completely outside of dog behavior and everything
right.
else, can be really helpful. Whether it's drawing, painting, building something with wood, whatever.
Right, and I think that's a lot of, like, what I try to do. I try to be it's always like I need to touch things, my
Mhm.
hands, and the but it's also soothing, and it's nice for my brain to focus on something that is more creative, and it's calming for me, but it's not relaxing. It might be relaxing for my brain mentally because 'cause I'm not doing the hard things, but I'm still exhausted. I'm not, like and it's like I get so jazzed from it that I'm just, like, buzzing afterwards, and I'm just like, "Why do I have so much energy? That was so fun. I can't relax."
Yeah.
And I will physically force myself to get comfy, grab a book, and, like, put myself in my papasan with, like, a heating pad and be like, "Just stay there. Like,
Mhm.
don't get up for, like, an hour." I have to give myself, like, rules, otherwise I will not I'll just get burnt out, and then I hate what I do. And
Yeah.
I think it does need to be said that if you keep doing this and grinding the wheel and not giving yourself chances to mentally recover and physically recover, you're going to end up resenting and really hating what you do. And that's why I'm not a
Yes.
trainer anymore.
Eh, Oh, girl. I mean, to be entirely honest, same. I, for lack of a better word, I call myself a trainer, but it's not really what I do anymore. And my client load is far less than it was. And I don't know if I'll ever go back to what I was doing before, which is training full time. I actually doubt it because that wasn't feeding my soul. It was at the time until I burned out. But I mean, to your point, like completely honestly, in LA, I was working all the time. I was breathing. I
Really?
was I was I was driving in between sessions. I was working. I was answering emails, answering texts and calls all the time.
Putting everything above yourself. Yeah.
Always. Also, I was drinking heavily. I had my own dogs to worry about. There was so much, and I hit a point that's where the burnout started. And I thought I could fix it by moving to Seattle, and actually that worked. It reignited me for
Temporarily.
a while. Yeah, it
Yeah.
really did. Until, and this is something we didn't really talk about, but I bought land. I was like, I can't be in the city anymore. This is too much. So I bought some land out on Hood Canal, 5 acres, wild, no, nothing,
Wow.
raw land, and I built a house. I
So
literally did
cool.
this. I did this. I had some shed builders come build the shell of it.
Foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I did everything else. But out there, I was creating constantly. Right, I was building. I was building. I built an outhouse. I built a fence. I built this house. I did all this stuff, and it was wonderful for my soul. It really was.
That
But
probably
to
had to
your
just
point,
feel so, like, fulfilling, though,
yeah,
in a
and
sense.
it didn't help with the burnout. It
Right, no,
it
because you
might have in a
drove
little
yourself.
bit.
Yeah.
I never stopped. I didn't actually rest. I just switched from that obsession to this other obsession. While still doing dog training.
Oh
Was
god.
still driving to Seattle a couple times a week and also doing video sessions. And I just and then I think I did finally burn out. My back gave out. I had to,
Oh,
I'm now back in Wisconsin so I can get some help from family while I recover and plan my next step. But to your point, yeah, and to younger trainers out there that might be listening, that is what happens, right? When you don't learn to rest at a certain point, your body makes you rest because
right.
we're done.
You know what that really reminds me of, and I think it does go without saying, though, I know I say that so much, but, our income changed drastically, and living in San Francisco, where it is very expensive, we were just like, "What are we gonna do? We can't survive." And so having to make a big shift of changing everything, my mental health plummeted
Mm.
because I was the Energizer Bunny for 10 plus years. And then all of a sudden it was like everything is still and not moving. And it's like, there's that visual that people always say, it's like, it's just, if it's a shark and they just have to keep going and keep swimming, keep going, keep going. And if I'm not going, then I'm just going to float to the surface.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. Yes. Whoa. E Exactly the same, really. And it probably has something to do with our shared mental health diagnosis as well,
right.
because I was only recently diagnosed as well. It was just a couple of years ago that it finally
Same.
was like, "Oh, that's what's been going on." That's why I
I think
couldn't.
we're all having that realization. I think this podcast has, like, brought that light to so many people of like, "You know what? I debated I had ADHD or PMDD," and it's like, "You probably got it."
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But if you do want that diagnosis or that reassurance, once you do get that, it does help and helps you kind of pivot things in a way where you can be like, "Oh, okay, I see where this wasn't working for me in my business. This may work for neurotypical people, but not me."
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to meeting our needs and burnout. If we're not finding the ways in which our businesses, our schedule, our lives are set up for those that are neurotypical, we're gonna burn out, of course, because we're not setting ourselves up in the best way possible. And I say that after how many years of doing that to myself. And just this year, literally as of January 2023, I realized I needed to change everything because nothing was working out for me. And I was constantly just in the cycle of burnout. I would power through a week, not really give myself a weekend, power through the next. And then 3 weeks in, I'd hit a wall and hate
Mhm.
it, want to drop everything, and would be severely depressed. And
Mhm.
it goes back to being neurodivergent and just trying to keep up and mask and be like everyone else,
Yep.
and we are not.
Yep. Well said.
I'm curious with navigating, you have a lot of reactive dog clients, and how do you coach them through that with your background and your experience? Because I know I'm sure you approach it with more empathy and focus on the guardian really taking care of themselves.
Yeah, a lot of listening. I think that that is very different from how used to function. And I think I was a really good dog trainer in my younger years, but I didn't spend a lot of time listening. I was much more, let's jump in, let's dive in, let me explain this to you, and then show you how
Right.
to train your dog to do this, and then watch you do it and help you through it. I stop a lot more at the beginning and do a lot more listening to both the client and the dog. I also, actually, right now, I'm doing mostly separation anxiety. And that's another one where listening is just so important because at a certain point, all we can do right now is desensitization.
Mhm.
And setting our dogs up to have a stress less life as possible. But outside of that, if as long as we're doing our homework, sometimes I'm just going to need to listen to you vent and just say, yeah, I know this is really hard.
And sometimes that's
You
all they
know?
need. They just
Yeah.
need confirmation that they're okay in those feelings.
Yeah, so listening is huge, but also I think providing toolkits. So I think this comes into play with whether you're dealing with any dog that is struggling with big feelings of any sort. That means big feelings for the guardian and the
Right.
trainer. So we all need a toolkit. We are very, as trainers, we're very obsessed with making sure the dog has a toolkit, right? Make sure we know how to scatter treats, treat magnet, emergency U-turn, all the things, right? So they have a good toolkit, but there are two very important pieces of this. There's the dog, and then there's the handler. There's the guardian. So we've got to have a few toolkits. So for me, I think it's number one, I set my clients up to know whatever physical things that you need to wear that help you feel more secure being in a public space. Do it. For me, I have kind of a ridiculous outfit I wear walking my dogs. I use a walking stick. Um, which, is helpful
Oh,
for
that's
my back, but
smart,
it's
yeah.
also there, like, in case this just mysterious thing in my head that is like, I don't know, somewhere between like a bear and a lion comes charging at us,
You're
I've got this stick.
prepared. Yeah.
Um, so I've got that. I've also got the, I've got the pet shield spray in case, something were to happen. And I also have a little mini air horn. I have, what else do I have? I have my whistle, my recall whistle if I need it. I have a little tug toy if I need it. I have a little pack anyway,
You're
whatever you need
physical.
to have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So whatever you need to have. And then there's your tool, your training toolkit. So your dogs need to, we do need to have some pretty reliable cues and ways of helping our dogs navigate stressful situations. So that just means practicing those at home. And that's the training element.
Right.
But then the rest of it is social support. You got to make sure you have that social toolkit, whether that just means it's your best friend on the phone, or maybe there's a podcast you listen to in one ear while you're walking. Maybe it's
Ooh,
the leash mind.
yeah.
I don't know. It's whatever is helpful for you and feels supportive.
I love that. Yeah.
Looking for that. Oh, I wanted to mention too. I just found something called Rough Relationships. It's Marlene O'Neill LeBerge, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but just look up Rough Relationships. She's got this cool setup that is helpful for both caregivers and professionals. There's two
Mm.
different series that you can take, and it's all about this. All about helping the guardian or the trainer cope with all of the mental struggles and all of the emotions that come up with having a reactive dog.
Ooh, okay. I'll
So,
plug a link into the show
yeah,
notes so people can find that. That sounds really useful.
yeah. I found that in my family dog mediator group. So,
Awesome.
anyway, that's all social support. I think the other parts of that is just knowing your emotional toolkit. So, knowing, I love that you share these things, but those somatic tools, grounding, breath work, physical movement, whatever, but having those and knowing that, sometimes on a walk, I'm going to need to dive into the trees here and we're going to need to sit down for a second and breathe together
Right. Yes.
because mama's not okay. And that's actually good for your dog too. If you can find a little safe space, even if that is like you got to
A nook
bushwhack a little bit
somewhere.
to get
Yeah.
yeah, and sit down together, maybe do a little treat scatter, sure, and then just sit there and breathe.
It's gonna
I
help
think it's
them,
helpful.
it's gonna
Yeah,
help you. Yeah,
yeah.
that's just bringing forward all these memories of when I was, like, in the pits of reactivity training with, her name was Sky. She was a border collie. She was adolescent and my favorite dog I ever trained. I love her parents. I still, like, interact with them on social media. But she was very so she was bred for herding, for what border collies are bred for, but she came from a line that was specific for specific types of herding. Then they moved to San Francisco, which is I understand San Francisco's a hot city to live in. I loved living there. I miss it, but I don't think they anticipated her genetics and what could happen. Regardless of raising her from, very beginning, early puppyhood from the breeder, they did everything right. Like, these were the most devoted guardians I have ever met, and they were just like, "I don't understand," and she would lunge and bark at cars and buses, and that is not safe. If she got off her leash, her long line, it's unpredictable, and she lived in an apartment building, and so just getting out of the apartment building was a lot. And so we had to have the protocols of like, okay, what do you have physically to be prepared? Okay, now how are you going to be emotionally prepared for going outside? Don't freak out and internalize it because it's not your fault. You are going through a gauntlet just to get outside with your dog. And even that can like really set up the levels of stress depending on how you do it. So we had to navigate time windows of when was the least busy time, when to do it. And having to get to that state is so mentally, emotionally taxing. But then, we got outside and I had to immediately hit the ground running with training and get her to come down a few decimals because she'd already be up here. And for those that aren't watching, my hand is going above my head because she would already be almost close to threshold. And so I would have to go hide in the alleyway and play with her with a tug and get her to come down. And then we would try and do training. And our outside training was maybe like 10 minutes long, if that, got her back inside, and I would work to bring her back down because she'd be so overstimulated. And so that was such a trying time. I was so stressed. I was so anxious. Most of the times when I ended those training sessions, and this is nothing on her or her parents, I would go in my van and cry because I would feel like a failure because I didn't have a good session, even though it was like I got her outside and we did a little bit of training. But as trainers and even as, dog guardians, there's that feeling of I'm not doing enough. I know all this information. Why can't I change this for the dog? I'm not helping this dog. I suck at what I do. I shouldn't do
Yeah.
this. And it's hard to remember that we are good at what we're doing. It's the environment that we're working in and we're doing the best we can.
I mean, the situation you described, right, is an
And my
impossible
heart's like
setup.
racing from describing
I
it.
could see you.
We're so,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm right there. Because I'm like, I know I've had so many reactive herding breeds in Los Angeles and Seattle. And it's not, it's so hard for the guardian not to feel like it's their fault. It's also so hard for the trainer not to feel like a constant failure because
always.
you
Yeah.
aren't seeing the progress. I mean, nobody's seeing the progress they want to see at the end of each session. Of course you're not, because this stuff doesn't change overnight. And this dog is being presented with what is freaking them out the most, maybe 3 to 4
Constantly.
times a day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they lived in, like, the heart of the city. I'm like, "Y'all, you guys gotta, like, find a different spot, like, this is way too crowded for her." Like, it was
Yeah.
just buses all the time, and luckily, they did get a more quiet spot in the city after I quit training with her because I moved, but, I was just like, "You gotta change your environment."
Oh my god, when that's
Like
possible, when
oh,
someone can actually do that. I had a client do that once where I was like, I was just honest with him. I didn't say you need to move because
no, you can't
you don't know somebody's situation.
right.
But I just was describing the environment and why it was problematic and whatever. And I kind of
End goal,
jokingly
work
said,
towards
if you
it.
could move, and I said, just kidding. But like 5 months later, they moved and the reactivity really wasn't an issue anymore. It was something that they continued to kind of manage and work through, like little things, but it wasn't
Right.
ever present.
It's the environment, and that man, I mean, that says a lot about us too, because our environment changing. I mean,
Holy cow. Yeah.
oh my God, like
Yeah.
going from LA to Seattle to having
Yeah.
your own land, like, hello, I'm sure you definitely noticed a change in that. I noticed a
Yeah.
huge change from living in San Francisco 8 years, heart of the mission, very, very busy area, to going to the Oregon coast in a small town that no one really knows of, and, like, I barely had cell reception. My mental health, it was right in front of my face, and I was just like, "Wow." It's like
Yeah.
I loved being outside more and not seeing buildings, but at the same time, it was like, that was a really quick shift, and, like, I'm
Yeah.
having to
Yeah.
come down, and
Yeah.
I don't think we realize that until we get out of the stressful environment, like we tell our clients all the time, you're not gonna be able to fully come down, and that could
Right.
be
And
you
it'll take
living
time
right!
for
Oh, it
that
takes so
transition.
much time. Oh, it took me a
Yeah.
good year for my levels to come back down.
Oh man, yeah. Well, you were talking earlier. I was thinking too, because I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. Like, as dog professionals, really in any capacity, whether we work as veterinarians, vet techs, groomers, dog trainers, behavior consultants, whatever, we aren't mental health care practitioners. So, like, I think knowing when it's okay to bring that up to a client, like if a client is struggling and you can see it, of course, you need to be very careful about, not saying, I think you need therapy. You're not going to say that, but you
No.
might bring up, you might figure out a gentle way of kind of bringing up, I wish I could help you with this piece of it. I can't. I don't have that training. What has been really helpful for me and other clients in the past has been really talking through this, coping strategies and stuff with a qualified mental health professional, with a counselor, with a therapist, whatever. Maybe that's something you could look into. And, I mean, it might be even, I don't have this yet and I probably should, but a list of resources, contacts that I can send to clients if they're kind of thinking about it.
Yeah, and just being able to provide that support and say, "You're not alone in this. Let's maybe form a bigger network to help because this is a big journey and you need to have your appropriate outlet."
That protects you
Yeah.
as the animal professional, because I think that's where actually a lot of my burnout came from. I was taking way too much responsibility
Oh, yeah, same.
for each client's behavior, the human's behavior, the dog's behavior. The fact that this dog can't get past 2 minutes on separation anxiety is all my fault. It's not. There's a
No.
lot of people on this team. There's a lot of individuals on this team. It's not just you.
Right.
And remembering that, look, I actually have that training. There are tips and tricks I learned from books and my own therapist, but I don't know how to fix this for you.
I think that's the thing a lot of the times is like and I don't this isn't a poo-poo on clients, it's they come to you as the professional, so they just expect you to help in every aspect, but I don't think they notice the mental health and emotional wear that happens when, you're navigating whatever it is you're training with your dog. It could be reactivity, it could just be trying to, like, not want to punt your puppy across the street when
Yeah.
they are nipping at your legs. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
I'm a professional, I know what to do, but, like, when you are overstimulated and burnt out, you can't immediately go to your tools and go, "Okay, I know how to handle this." You're overstimulated. And having a mental health professional to, suggest to clients will really help take that load off of you because that's not your responsibility. You're the trainer. You're not just the trainer, but you are just the trainer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, good way to put that. Yes. I can be this for you, and I can't, and there are limits. I can't be
But I am
everything to
only
you.
this for you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it just makes me think of so many clients I've had over the years, which now are pretty. They're not friends. We don't talk every day, but these people
You have a
can
better
text me, and
relationship.
I
Yeah.
like to get updates and stuff. But honestly, during their programs, they were a handful. They were texting me in the middle of the night. They were like, it was a lot, and I'm glad that we are to the point now where they can shoot me a quick email with a little update or a quick funny text or whatever. But yeah, sometimes it's a lot. And you talk about this, and I appreciate this a lot. You talk about this on your podcast a lot, but setting those boundaries, my God, and then sticking to them, not being available all the time. I mean, that's like so what I do as far as trying to set my own boundaries or telling people right away when I start working with them, here's when I'm available. You can message me anytime. I'll respond during my working hours, whatever.
Good.
And then the hard part is actually sticking to that, right?
Oh
So
god, I know.
if you
It's
do
always
see that text, at 10 p.m. Are you going to answer it? No, because you need to stick to your boundaries.
But how much are you gonna overthink it and let it take up your mental space
Yeah.
because you read it? That oh, you were just in my mind right now.
Right. Well,
Because
so I
there's
have been toying with this and I think I should is doing that separate messaging app that isn't actually
yeah.
it doesn't even tell me. Right now I've just been I mean people just get my personal cell phone number, which is probably a mistake, but so I just see their texts come in. And so that is mental work for me seeing it come
Yeah.
in and even
And
if I
having
don't
to ignore
look
it
read it
is a
fully or
lot.
respond.
Well, and just going, "Okay, I have that, gonna have to read that in a couple days." Like, I don't know about you, but knowing I have to respond and read something, it's like, that's just as
Mhm.
taxing.
Well, it also yeah, it makes you feel like a failure every step of the way because it's like I'm not responding to that this minute. I'm also not responding to it the next minute. And it keeps weighing on you.
Right, that's and I've made this rule with myself of, like so I'll stop work around, like, 5 or 6 PM, and I'm just like, "Not gonna check my email at 5," because I know if I see something in my inbox and I go, huh, because 'cause I'm gonna feel the need to, like, respond or figure out something for that, and then I'm not gonna let it go. When it's like, "Okay, I'll just open my email, and it'll be there in the morning, and I can handle it then." But and this is something I said in a social media post, about taking work email off of phone because I'm a stickler about that. I will say that till the cows come home. Like, you gotta get work email off your phone. It's when people email you, they're not expecting an immediate response. They're emailing you. Email has never been a quick way to respond to someone.
Mhm.
You can either do that, Facebook Messenger, DM, text, call, but email is never a fast way of communication. So, I feel like a lot of times, at least from the amount of, I mean, all my friends are dog trainers, but I just so many times I hear them saying like, "Oh, I didn't respond to this client fast enough," and it's like, But they emailed you. You don't need to respond that fast." And yeah, just having that boundary within your work of when you check your email, when you open things, it really helps getting things categorized so that you're not constantly thinking about work.
Yeah.
Well, and just I know I will never shut up about having work email on phone, but it's just you're always having work with you. When are you gonna be able to step away from it?
Mhm.
Because 'Cause you're gonna have that impulse to be like, "Well, this came in. Let me just read it really quick." And then it's like, "Well, shit. Okay, now I need to get to work." And it's like 8 PM at night.
Yeah. The fact that I'm always available and not even talking about work. I'm talking about just always available because I always have my phone is something that really blows my parents' mind. I mean, they neither of them. My mom has a cell phone that she uses occasionally, but it's one of those paper text deals. It's not even a like a real cell phone, but my dad would never touch a computer or a cell phone. They have a landline and that is it.
I'm
And
envious.
they can't understand at all. I mean, I almost feel bad if my phone is in the other room. Like I feel guilty somehow that I'm not available for someone. And that in itself is a work that I know that I could do because it is actually, 20 years ago, that was normal that you didn't have
Right.
a phone on you all the time.
Right.
And that's okay. And people were actually probably a lot more healthy mentally. So I think it's been being home and being with my parents and also being in a rural environment, which,
Oh, yeah.
you lose power, you lose whatever. You don't get service half the time places you're driving. It's been a good reminder that actually you don't need to be available all the time to everybody who might possibly need you.
Yes, and, that's not saying that we all need to go off grid or that, but just knowing that we don't need to be in constant communication.
Mhm.
My aunt-in-law, Veronica, she is very anti-social media, and, she knows what I do with Woof culture. She knows that I really like to be active on it and do that, and she's just like it's funny 'cause she has a different generation, doesn't really understand social media, and she's just like, I don't understand the need to, like, always update people and share your life, you don't have to share everything." And it's like, "Yeah, but I want to," and people
Yeah.
like that. But I
Yeah.
think having the boundaries within that does help,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
hard, and it's that dopamine of getting
Yep.
liked.
Yep. Yeah, but it's also, I mean, sure, you just said the dopamine of getting liked, but there is always an opposite side to that,
Oh,
right? Like
always with
if
everything,
you,
there's give and take.
if you see the dislikes, for example, like if you've got a troll, or if you've got people who have strong feelings about you in some way that gets posted, or you posted something 2 hours ago and you
Like a
didn't get
couple
any
views.
likes yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that can hurt, you know?
You're like, "I put this
Really
much
hurt.
effort and, like, 3 people liked it. What the hell?"
Yeah, like I was on Canva for like 5 hours making this beautiful house. Look at it.
Oh,
It can really, and it can hurt. And I think, social media is so important to talk about, right? It's almost like it needs to be an ongoing conversation, because also things are changing by
it's
the day.
always yeah.
It's like evolving, and like as a business owner, like a small business owner, it's just me doing what I'm doing, and I don't have any employees or anything at this point. And so figuring out, yeah, what portion of my life should social media take? Um,
Right.
First, just business wise, but then what effect is that having on my mental health? Which is also a huge important part of my business, because I need to be sane to run my
Yeah.
business. And it's really hard, because social media, I want the followers and I'm scared of the followers. There's two sides of it, and I think everybody feels that. Like I want people to see what I'm posting because I want to be helpful. And I
Yeah.
also, yeah, there's a selfish part. I would really love to have my name out there. And I'm terrified of it, cuz like what if they don't like me? It's that's what it is, that it's at the heart of it. It's what if they don't like me? What
And
if I'm
and
not
that
enough?
goes back to good old MySpace top 8
Yeah.
really screwing us up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's so scary. It's a scary world, and it's ever evolving. And yeah, that's a piece of burnout, 100%. I've got to be careful about the amount of social media I consume, especially these days
Oh, yeah.
with just the big feelings surrounding our industry and within our industry. I've gone on rabbit holes of reading through kind of hateful comments, and
It's so easy to.
it's really easy, and it hurts. Actually, you feel awful afterwards. You go to sleep filled with anxiety. You
It
wake up
bogs you
feeling
down. You internalize it. You may not
yeah.
think it in the moment, but it's in there and it's in your brain and it plants a seed and then you spiral.
Yep, yep. And it's kind of hard to when when you spend too much time on your little side of the internet, right? So if everything you see is surrounding dog behavior and training and whatever and all this stuff, if that's all you're really paying attention to, you kind of forget there's this whole other world out there. Like
Right.
after the most recent controversy, I kind of came out of it, and I was talking to my mom, and I was like, oh, and there's this thing, and there's this person who did this, and then this person said this, and it was all of this. Oh my God.
And
And
that's
she
the
was
dog
like
training world. That's
right.
not even
She was like, "Who? What?" And then you forget. It's like, "Oh, this is just like this tiny part of the world." Like, most people have no idea.
right, right,
But,
right. They don't know what's going on, what everyone's debating and hair splitting, and you're just over here like overthinking, overanalyzing everything. And they're like, why are you so worked up? Like, do you not know? Like, we
yeah.
just came out of a pandemic. You're like, yeah, but like,
Yeah. Well, that's an important piece, right? It's like, okay, that's actually refreshing. Like step
right.
away and be like, "Oh, okay. You know what? This is not
It's a small,
it's okay."
small thing, and that's for anyone that's listening, like, yes, the dog training community online is very important. Networking is important. Having peers and colleagues to bounce ideas off of and commiserate with and share ideas, whatever, it's important, but it's such a tiny sliver of, like, what's going on with your career, with the world, with your business. It's so minuscule in that sense, and I think a lot of the times we think that social media is like the thing. That is where we need to be active, but it's not. And it's clear it really takes a toll on our mental health. I mean, hello. Like,
Yeah, I mean, if I want to think about things that actually make me feel good, it is being with other humans and helping them, and dogs. Obviously, I think I didn't say that because I just assume everybody was like, yeah, of
it's the
course, dogs.
standards. Yeah.
um, but I love teaching people. I really love that. The one-on-one, the I'm here with you in person, and we are making a change, a positive change right now with what we're doing. Sitting on social media, you're not getting that feeling. I mean, you might get those little
It's
dopamine hits,
fleeting.
sure. It's also kind of risky. Yes, it's an important part, but for me, I think I've realized what I need to be sane, actually. For a while, I thought I can just do virtual training. But I also know for me, that doesn't feed my soul and I'm going to burn out that way. So for me, I'm going to need to maybe teach a group class quarterly. Maybe
Hmm.
even I make that as maybe even it's even donation based offering to the community. I don't know. Maybe I do talks at a vet clinic,
A
whatever
way to
it
get
is,
that
but I'm going to
social
need that.
aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I, I think that's why I kind of tapped out of training too, is because we moved and I was just like, okay, I can still do things virtually, but I didn't like it. And
Hmm.
it didn't have the same for me. It didn't
Yeah.
it didn't ignite that fire that I had for training because it was all virtual and I couldn't physically be there. Not to poo-poo virtual training because it's amazing and look at the freaking changes we've made because of it. But that's why I stopped because I liked the physical aspect. I liked being there with my clients in the weeds and virtually it just didn't feed like you said, it didn't feed my soul the way I wanted it to. And so I had to find a different outlet for that. But that's okay.
Hmm.
Not, and that goes back to saying, like, you don't need to do what everyone else is doing. You need to do what feels best for you. Yeah, you need to make money,
Hmm.
but there are ways to do that while still keeping yourself at top priority. And I think a lot of times that we run our businesses and we become entrepreneurs in that, but we don't think, is this feeding my soul? Is
Hmm.
this going to fill my cup? Do I feel good navigating my business and just feel fulfilled because you can work as long as you can and love what you do, but if it's not lighting a fire and making you feel good about it, then what's the point?
Hmm. Yeah. What's the point? Exactly. Um, and what are the potential problems that can come from that?
Right. Oh
I
my
can tell
god.
you, it's not fun. Yeah, really figuring out what feeds your soul, I think is so important. Meet your dog's needs, yes. But
Of
oh my
course.
God, meet your needs too.
And if we say that and people will go, "Oh, yeah, of course," but are you taking it in when we say that? And are you actually thinking of how your needs are getting met? Because a lot of the times people will be like, "Oh, well, I love getting outside. I'll go hike with my dog." Okay, but you're still having to be scanning the environment, being aware of the environment, pulling off the trail with your dog. You can't just pass people maybe. Like there's still those steps that you are putting in front of
Yeah,
yourself
yeah,
of like, that's not fully meeting
yeah.
your needs. I understand why, but that's not it.
I'm laughing because thank you for that. I'm actually going to try and take that advice. I'm always saying, "Oh, I went for a walk with the dogs.
Not
But
relaxing.
then not at all for me because I'm someone who has a lot of trauma around reactivity and aggression, and a walk is not at all relaxing for me if I have a dog with me.
No,
It's the furthest thing from relaxing.
no, it's not. And like, same here. Like, we've had previous dogs in the past that were very reactive and aggressive, and it wasn't enjoyable doing the neighborhood walks. So I don't find that enjoyable. And
Mhm.
Fern's great now that she's older and she can handle the neighborhood walks, but that's still not relaxing for me. I'm still
Right.
having to be on. I'm still
Yeah.
having to have treats, be prepared, be ready for triggers, be ready to bring her down if she needs to come down from something. That's not relaxing.
Yeah.
It's you're still in a different state than you would be if you were doing it yourself and letting your mind wander. Because that's the thing when we're working with our animals and out in the world, we're not able to let our mind just go
Mhm.
and do its thing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, more to that. I mean, just more of that. I want more of that for everyone I know and love in the world. More freedom to exist and let your mind go where it wants to go without being told where to go by social media, without being
Mhm.
forced where to go because of a need that someone dependent on you needs. Just the freedom for even a couple minutes just to sit and let your mind go.
Yes.
And I know that it almost comes it does not almost, it comes from a privileged place to say that because there's so many people out there who don't have that ability,
You're
who
right.
really aren't able to do that. So I acknowledge the privilege. But I wish that for everyone. I wish everyone could just have the freedom to just breathe and let your mind go where it's going to go. Because without that, I mean, oh, you're just constantly reacting. That's all you're
Well,
doing. You're just reacting all the time.
I will say it is definitely a learned skill in learning how to decompress and relax. And yeah, I mean, that's why this podcast has been formed because I realized a lot of people don't have that or they need that
Hmm.
reminder because we don't have that reminder in the training industry and in any of our courses, any webinars. No one is saying like, "Hey, take a second for yourself." It's how do we do this for the client? How do we do
Yep.
this for the dog? How do we get these CEUs? How do we
Yep.
It's never like, "Hey, check in with yourself." And it's a learned skill. It takes a lot of time. It's taken me
Yep.
years to figure that out, but that can be something as simple of, maybe you have a balcony or a porch or a backyard and you just go sit. No
Yep.
phone, nothing. Like, but being able to sit and just let that happen is hard.
Mhm.
Like, just me going in my yard and sitting down and letting my mind do its thing, not thinking about work, not thinking about what I need to do, that can happen when I go back inside. But learning to just come down, that takes time. It's not easy. I had to learn it the hard way. I had to feel very uncomfortable and hate it for a while. But then after I did it enough times, I was like, I look forward to it.
Yeah. 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 There's something about water for me that helps that
Oh,
happen.
yes.
Right. Like, I do the thing too, just the grounding thing, where if I just have a couple minutes and I want to go stand outside and allow that to happen, I do it. But in order for that really nice, fluid thought to happen for me, I
Mhm.
got to stare at some moving water somewhere
Oh, I
to go
totally
find that.
feel that. I love that you say that because not many people even think about that. That's so true. Oh God. And just when I lived on the coast and, our aunt has like they live on a river. And so, oh my God, like my stress levels just went whoa. After
Well,
living in
there's
San
probably
Francisco, being in the
yeah.
nature and
Yeah.
what were you gonna say?
It was probably the sound too, literal
Yes.
sound of moving water. Like,
Yes, and, like, not sound of traffic and
right.
honking horns and, like, houseless people outside my window, like, just that shift, and so,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, but yes, I think it just comes back to whatever we are doing in our careers, we need to find ways to check in with ourselves, whether it be in the moment when we're dealing with a reactive dog, because, if we're getting stressed and they're stressed, who's gonna help who in the situation
Right.
here?
Right. Right. No one's helping it. This is a terrible spiral.
Right, and it's like, we're not gonna be helpful when we're stressed and overstimulated, and if we notice that, okay, let's go back inside, let's bring ourselves down, go give them a snuffle toy, puzzle toy, and you just go and breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, well, one thought on what you were just saying is I'm not sure I knew what my needs were
No,
until
it takes
recently.
time.
And
Yeah.
so meeting your needs can I think some people are just like, "Oh yeah, 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 that's right. I got to drink water. I got to do some breathing. I got to do the fucking yoga." Oh my, how many times it's just like, "Oh, yeah, you just have to do more yoga. It'll be fine."
You
No.
just need to move your
No,
body,
that's
you need to
actually not.
journal.
It's not enough. That's not enough. That advice is not enough because everybody's needs are so different. And I think it is so worth taking some time to try and figure out what the heck your needs are. If you're an individual, they might be very different. Like I'm just now figuring out that I do need moving water very close to me to be sane. So I also need to live in an area where I can find places that I can feel safe with my dogs
Mhm.
and I can let them be off leash. So, there's nothing that calms me more, I think, than watching my dogs enjoy romping and running. And there's so few places you can do that safely. I mean, I have adolescent dogs. I don't feel comfortable just walking into the woods and letting them off leash.
Oh god,
Anything
no.
could happen.
Yeah.
But yesterday I was at a post-surgical appointment and so we were up by Lake Superior and we found this little beach that there were all these logs. So there was only a certain part of the beach they could use. They couldn't get past these areas.
Oh,
And
so it's, like,
I was
contained.
yeah. And they could run and I could look at the water and I wasn't stressed. And I remember getting in the car after and it was like, whoa, I've needed that for
Right?
weeks.
Right, when you just have that perfect, like, mesh of things, and that's not always perfect, and I know that, we don't all have access to that.
Mhm,
It's a matter of finding in your environment where that can work for you, and it's different for everyone, it looks different
mhm.
for everyone. Before my surgery, I there's a park near us that I know I can trust Fern at. I let her on the long line. The few times I had her off leash, I learned not to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Been there.
But, I have her on a long line, and we just have a good time, and I've learned that there are especially now that it's lighter, like, if I can go at 6 a.m. before anyone's there, like, her and I have a good time, and there were moments when I would go to start my day, and I'm just like, "I don't wanna go sit down right now. I don't wanna go at my desk," and I'd look at Fern and she'd look like, I want to go outside. I want to do stuff. And so I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I'll have a little later day. I'll start maybe an hour later if it means I get to go have a good time with her. And I know every time I'm gonna feel good after I go out with her.
Mhm.
And it's not that it's near water, it's just it's quiet, I can hear the birds, it's very foresty, big field for her to go on and just go sniff, and I know that she can decompress and just go be a dog, and I can still have a great view of the, environment and keep an eye on things, but I don't have to be hyper vigilant because
Mhm.
it's such a big open space that I can see things and just like, that's it for me. I'm not near water, I love being in the mountains,
Mhm.
but that's good enough for where I live
Yeah.
in my urban, suburban environment.
Yeah, I think that's good advice for everybody because I've certainly been in locations in my life where, it was very hard to find a place to relax. I have made somehow I've made this happen for myself. Well, sort of out of need. I mean, right
It's
now
usually how it happens.
yeah, I'm building a van because I thought I'm gonna do van life.
That's
And I'm
still a
living,
dream of mine. I love
I'm
that.
yeah, I don't, in to be realistic, I actually don't think we're gonna be able to do it. My back is never gonna be the same as it was. My dog just had TPLO surgery.
Oh,
I'm
yeah, that's
worried
a
she might have
lot.
another, because sometimes when one leg goes, the other leg goes.
Oh, I know that too well.
I have some trauma. I'm a little nervous about traveling the country by myself at this point in my
Right.
life, So I think probably what I'll do, is just finish the van, sell it, and I mean I don't have much in my savings account, so I'm thinking maybe I'll buy a very small chunk of some raw land near water and figure it out from there. You know,
I love that you just
Not
have
sure.
it's not that you have these set ideas, it's just like, well, this could be plan B, this could be
Yeah.
plan C, and they're just hypotheticals, but they're directions you could lean into, and
Yeah.
they're not concrete, but it's just like, well, if that doesn't work out, I like this idea.
Yeah.
And being
Yeah.
able to shift your perspective helps you, at least from my perspective, it helps me not get bogged down with the negative that can come in that.
Yeah, because if you're not meeting expectations, if you have
Oh,
these
yes.
plans, life is gonna thwart your plans every time. And we were laughing when we first got on the call, right? Is because I was super stoked about being on your podcast.
Yeah.
I made sure my office space was clean and looking good.
Right.
And then we lost power because there was a thunderstorm in the Midwest, and I had to go to the little town's community center, and I've got this funny setup now. But we
And no
made it
one
work.
would know. I know. Like, no one would know. Before you're like, "Look, I'm in a storage room," and I'm like, "It looks like you're in your office, so it works." Like, but it's being able to adapt and not
Mhm.
dwell on, "Oh god, this is gonna seem so unprofessional."
Right.
No, it's Mandy. I don't see that as unprofessional. I just see that as, "Hey, this person knows how to roll with the punches and just make the best out of it." Those are
Yeah,
my kind of
yeah.
people.
Good, good.
But I think that goes just with businesses and with life in general. If you don't learn to just roll with the shitty situations and try to find the good in it, it's gonna just take over. And that's something I really learned big time from my husband because I was always, anytime there was a problem, I would fester. And he is the type that would be like, all right, well, how are we gonna figure this out? And it took, us being together 9 years for me to finally adapt to his way of thinking of like, all right, well, I just need to problem solve. Because no one taught me how to problem solve growing up. It was always crisis and fester on the crisis, and I'm the victim when it's like, okay, I need to figure this out.
Mhm.
And I think that's why I love dog training so much because it's a lot of figuring it out and learning to offset things and how is it going to be better. It's a lot of problem solving. And we do that great with our clients. But when it comes to our lives and taking care of ourselves, it does not trickle over.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's true. I think almost all the people I know that have probably all the people I know that have, chosen this as a profession, give far, far more of themselves to other people than they than they do to themselves.
Well, and I just that really, I mean, I feel like you're like me, but like pretty much all my friends are dog trainers, and that's for a reason. Because I hate explaining dog training to people that, but it's also just they're so like-minded and they understand your journey. And I'm not saying that, you need to go make friends with a bunch of dog trainers, but it helps having people that are on your same wavelength and understand where you are because
Yeah.
it can be a very lonely journey, and if we don't have others to not rely on but share the experience with, then it's gonna be lonely and we're gonna get burnt out fast. But and I think this is where this podcast is really helpful, is because we're hearing other people going through the same journey and we're being reassured, like, it's not just me.
Even the big guys like, Mike Shikashio.
Oh my god, I can't wait to share, like, my episode with Dr. Pockle. I don't know if that'll
Mhm.
probably come out before this one, but, just hearing how he has
Yeah.
imposter syndrome, I'm like, "Really? You?" Like,
But you're like a god to me. Yeah, I
but
love
that's the
him.
thing. Yeah, like, I think a lot of people don't realize that all these people who are successful and
Mhm,
have these accomplishments, the same situation
mhm.
for all of us. It's just some of us have figured it out a little sooner. And
Yeah.
but then we pour it back into other people, and that's why I do wanna have some of the bigger names on here so that
Mhm.
I can show people, "Look, it's not just you."
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think it's really important to remember too that, life I'm moving my hand like a roller coaster right now. That is life, right? I mean, sometimes you
Yes.
can coast and you can go fast or you're way up in the air and, people are envious and you're killing it. But it might not be like that tomorrow, actually. Like you might be really struggling tomorrow and you're gonna dip on that roller coaster and you're going to need the support of the people around you who know what it's like, because nobody stays in this really confident amazing spot forever. They don't. That's not progress. That's not life. You're going to feel
No.
really good one day and you're going to something may happen or whatever
Good or
circumstances
bad.
change
Yeah.
and things aren't great the following day. So having that support is really helpful. People who love you and believe in you and get it. The believe in you is important, right? Sometimes I need, my friend Rebecca is that for me. Sometimes I just need someone to remind me
Yes.
that I'm pretty awesome and worth
Thank
it.
you, yes,
Okay.
like, remind me of how awesome I am because I need to hear it, like,
Mm,
and I think you develop those friendships and colleagues within the community, and you have your people, like, I have my friend Jenna, every time I make an episode, I have her listen to it before I put it out because 'cause I'm like, "Does this sound
mm,
good? Did I sound stupid? Did I say that right?" And she's like, "Mandy, stop, like, I mean, I know I need to tell you, but, like, this is good." And I'm just
mhm.
like, "Okay, I know what I'm doing, thank you." Like, but
Yeah.
sometimes you need that check-in and that reassurance, and that's okay. We
Yeah.
can't be fully confident all the time. If we were, we'd be
Mhm.
so cocky, like, and no one
Yeah.
likes that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this has just been such an awesome conversation. I feel so just, like, fulfilled and warm and tingly because it's just it's so nice to hear these conversations and have them with other people and know that there is a shift starting to happen, and
Mhm.
I am noticing it more and more. I don't know if that's because of the podcast or it's because more people are talking about it, but people are paying attention to their mental health, and it's making me really happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so needed.
Well, we don't realize our job is a lot, and we deserve to take a break from it and take care of ourselves so that we can keep doing what we love.
Mhm. Mhm. I think the other shift that's happening is that dog training is becoming much bigger. So, and I don't mean just more popular, I mean more, there's more options. I wouldn't call myself a dog trainer anymore. I'm not sure exactly what. I guess I'm closer to a coach.
I've
Maybe
been
there's a,
seeing
there's
more
a bit of
people saying
therapist,
that.
I mean, I am a family dog mediator. That might be a little bit closer, much more educator. I'm advocate. I'm much more interested in helping, canine and human just communicate better and not
Mhm.
by teaching, here's what sit means, here's what leave it means. It's much more about how can we meet both of our needs. And those needs are environmental, they're emotional, they're physical. So that's what I'm doing right now, right? That's who I am. And I think that people in our field don't feel as boxed in as maybe it felt 10 years ago.
You're so right. I didn't even talking about it, I do realize that, but before I didn't really even notice that, but you're right, like, I am seeing more people focusing on the bond and the
Hmm.
connection, and that's something I liked more with training. It wasn't just, "Here, this is what we do when, your dog sees a squirrel. This is how we get past traffic." It's, "Okay, how do you change how they feel in this
Hmm.
situation? How do they feel in the situation? Are you noticing that?" Like, yeah, it's a different approach to the traditional training.
Right, right. Yeah, it just feels like there's more options. I think it's a very exciting time in our field. With that excitement comes stress and, worry and anxiety, but it's also pretty exciting.
Yeah, well, with any growth and pivoting and change, it's not gonna feel how it should, air quotes,
Mhm,
but it'll if it feels good to you, then you're on the right path, and I think
mhm.
that my episode with, Gio and Taylor from Smart Bitch really magnified that of you can just make your own rules and set your business up the way you want, and it can work, like, they are living proof.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, because I lost internet. I haven't listened to it yet because I lost it again yesterday, so I'm excited to listen to it. Oh, thank you for that reminder though. I've been feeling like, oh, okay, so where am I going professionally at this point, right? You can probably tell based on my description of kind of who I am. I don't have a concrete idea of exactly what I want to do, what I want to market with Mutt Sense, with my new, with my new business.
Mhm.
What exactly does that look like? I have all these qualifications, I have all this experience, but what feeds my soul? And
And how
so
can you shift that to work for you?
business wise and emotionally, so
Yes,
so
yes.
thank you for that reminder though, because the truth is that you can do what you want and you can monetize it. You can actually. You just need to talk to the right people. You need to figure out how to get that help. Sometimes it's like, oh God, but should I have like some sort of, job on the side that gives me benefits and stuff?
Right.
That's not
No.
me. So no.
Same.
For me, I'm gonna put my eggs in this basket for right now, and I'm gonna believe in myself, and I'm gonna try and get the help that I need to make this work. So, I might need some more help with marketing soon. They probably need some help with my therapist to really figure out what path is right for me. You reach out, you get that help, and I really think you can do what you want, and you can make money doing it.
Right, and on that note of being able to reach out for help, you can, and don't feel like you can't, and don't feel that that resource isn't available to you because I know money's tight. I know this economy is crazy right now. I am on a budget. I do not have a savings, but
Hmm.
it's a matter of finding and networking, and that can look like Facebook groups. That can look like,
Hmm.
messaging someone that you really look up to and saying, "Hey, I really like how you did this with your business. Let me know if you have time to schedule a meeting and we can bounce ideas around. I really look up to you." And most times, like people are gonna say yes because they want to
Oh,
see others
it's so true.
succeed.
It's
Yes,
so true. I have reached out to Dr. Paco, who on 3 occasions has answered me, which was like, "Oh, you are so lovely."
I know.
They're like, sometimes if I want advice from like someone I really admire, and I get so much out of this, I'll join one of their webinars because there's a
Oh
Q&A
yeah,
section, and I know that my question is probably going to be helpful for someone else. So I will ask those questions during that Q&A, and like big names in our field actually aren't all that unapproachable.
they're
They're
the
actually
most approachable. They want to help you.
yeah.
Yes, they
Yeah.
want to lift you up.
I know that that feeds my soul. So my role really with Tully's training now, the other company I work with, is much more of a mentor and helper for our
Oh, I
younger
love that.
trainers.
That's great.
And I love that. Like it is so good for me because so many of us trainers are teachers at heart, and that is what feeds our soul. So, helping younger trainers maybe avoid the mistakes I made and just help build them
Exactly.
up. It's fun. It feels good for me. So I just can just imagine, for someone who might have more of a following or whatever, it probably feels really good for them to be able to help too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes. And I'm sure yeah, exactly. And yeah, so don't feel like that is out of your realm. You can reach out to people. This is I people may seem intimidating and the second you talk to them, you're like, "Oh, wait. They're human and they're very nice
Yeah.
and they actually are very nice to talk to." Like, there are plenty of trainers I have spoken to and I'm like, "I think they lightweight hate me." And then I talk to them and I'm like, "Oh, you like me just as much as I like you and
Yeah.
this is a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
conversation." So, like, there are so many ways to get help that don't require money and spreading your budget thinner. And I want people to know that it's out there and it takes time.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
just takes time.
It takes time and it takes that work, bring it back full circle. Actually, I hate calling it work. It takes that investment in yourself
Yes,
where
that's what it
you
is.
learn your needs, you pay attention to taking care of yourself, and not just in the generic way of go do some yoga and go do some breathing. Just devote some time to yourself. You got to
Yes,
take care.
yes, that is what I always try to say, and that's why I like, for me in the mornings, that's how I need to start my mornings with myself, taking care of myself.
Mhm.
Even if I that is me just grabbing my coffee, not checking social media for like an hour or 2 because my brain is still waking up, and I just read like a chapter of my book, and that's what I tell myself. I'm not getting up from this chair until I finish a chapter, and then I will move on with my day.
Oh, such good advice. I have
It's
noticed a
trial and
giant
error.
shift. Oh, we get it. I have noticed a giant shift. It is, I know, I would say in our generation, or I don't know, let's say 30 somethings to 50 somethings, we probably the larger majority of us check our social media in the morning. And then it
Oh,
sucks you
first
in
thing.
for an hour. And then all of a sudden it's 7:30 and you feel awful.
You're
You
bogged down
have to
already,
pee.
and you haven't gotten out of bed.
You haven't even had any coffee yet. You just like, oh God, I stopped doing that. I feel better. I wake up, I have a routine. I make coffee. I go sit outside with the dogs. I do not. I might look at my phone to check the weather, the
Briefly.
whatever,
Yeah.
but I am not touching that Instagram icon. I'm just
Mm-mm.
not.
It's hard though, that temptation's there. My husband, he will wake up and I'll feel him turn over and I'll look over at him and I'm like, "Why are you on your phone? You just woke up. You haven't even gotten out of bed." And he's like, "I just checking." And I'm like, "For what?" Like,
Right?
who is trying to get a hold of you at 5 a.m.? It should be me, and I'm not bugging you. But yeah, I think really how you start your day, and I was going to do an episode on this, but I was like, "Oh, people don't really care." But maybe it does matter, and habits of how you start your day matters.
Mhm.
Just knocking down that first domino block of your day, that is going to affect how you move through it. You were
Yep.
starting your morning checking social media, checking, these stupid influencers with their pretty lives and seeing what a dog trainer's posting. Maybe someone left you a shitty comment on something. You're immediately taking that in, and that's how you're starting your day.
Yep. Yep. It's not good because even if it's positive stuff, a lot of that stuff just makes you feel bad about yourself. If there are
Mhm.
other
Or
people
you
in
need to get
your,
to work.
yeah, yeah, like, oh, shoot, I'm definitely not doing enough.
Or
So just that none of it is a good way to start your day. I love your idea of the book. I think the book is a great idea.
and I mean, if you don't like reading, maybe that's just a matter of like, you go journal if you
Sure.
feel like it. Like
Go
whatever it is.
sing a song, whatever. Go for a walk, whatever it is.
Go
Doesn't
dance
matter.
to some Fleetwood Mac, whatever it
Yeah.
is. Like, it's
Yeah.
different every day, and I'm not perfect
Yeah.
about it, but the temptation's there. I
Mhm.
have
Oh,
my phone
it's
next to me.
I mean, I don't think maybe again for our generation, I don't think it'll ever be it will never not be a conscious choice. Like,
Right.
I probably for the rest of my life in the morning, am going to have to remind myself, nope, do not open that social media yet. We're not ready for that yet.
You're
I'm
training
probably
yourself.
always gonna have to do
Yeah.
that.
No, that's so the case, and it's like, sometimes I'll, like, hit a boring point in my book, and I'll be like, "Maybe I open." No, 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 no,
Mhm.
no, no, because I know if I open it, I'm gonna get stuck for, like, anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour, and then there goes that time, and then I lose any time I get for myself, and then I rush through my day.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. And you know what? I'm still gonna have those days.
Right, we're not perfect.
Probably once or twice every couple of weeks. It's gonna happen. But again, you're gonna learn. You're gonna say, "Ooh, you know what? That day didn't feel great. I'm gonna do that
Right.
tomorrow."
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for making me feel less alone in that and reassuring me that it is a struggle, but also a work. It has just been so great talking with you. You were just
Oh, you
such a
too.
joy. Your energy is so awesome. And I hope people really pick up on that in the episode.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much.
Well, I will let you go, but I hope to have you on for another episode. There are so many other things that we can talk about that I'm
Mhm.
sure people would love to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I would love to. I think this mental health conversation, when I first saw that you post about this podcast, I was instantly like it affected me physically. I was like, "Oh, yep, that's what we need." Like,
Oh, that
"Thank
makes me
you."
so
Already,
happy.
I love move culture. Like, I was a fan of yours, and when you started this, it really was like yes, this is what we need. We really need this. We need to remember how to work through these issues. because no one else is helping us, so let's talk about it.
Thank you for saying that. I feel like when I hear that from people, it just makes me feel like, okay, this is the right path. People
Yeah,
want this. Like I am doing the right thing. And
you
I
are.
really care about dog professionals. I don't want them to feel that way. So I'm glad that you say that. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just gonna say again, like it is very evident that you care about dog professionals, not
Oh,
just
good.
through the podcast, also through your other business. It's like this stuff's for you. That's like what everything you produce. That's what it says, which is a really lovely thing.
Well,
So
thank you so much. Oh, so much R
yeah.
plus.
Hey.
And if you found this podcast helpful, you like what we're doing here at The Leash Mind, leave a comment, subscribe, like, tag us on social media. Just give us a little R plus, and we'll be back with another episode.